Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you are rejoining. Welcome if this is your first time. I feel like I haven't done this in a while, but my name is Marissa Price. I am a social worker, healer, an online business educator dedicated to creating safe spaces on the internet for Black women to heal, share resources, share information so we can get free. But today I have a wonderful guest with me today, Lauren, and I'll pass it over to her to introduce herself.
Yes. Thank you so much, Marissa, for having me this evening. I was so shocked when you emailed me. I was like,
Oh, what?
do you want to join? I was like, what? Me?
Yes.
Well, you sent me a message on Instagram, actually. So, hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Jones Forbes. I am a licensed certified social worker in Massachusetts. I'm from Boston. I've lived there my whole life. And now I have transitioned into entrepreneurship and working as a life coach for Black women. I recently started doing life coaching in 2023, and that's just where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So you said you're a clinical social worker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know a lot of us are in like the social work profession. But what made you want to go like the clinical route to get that
Mm-hmm.
certification in social
Yeah.
work?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's anything deep to it. I just have always I've always worked with people, so I've always just been in that type of environment where I'm like doing something that's quote unquote helping. So I think the clinical component was just me being able to interact on another level. Um, and just kind of figuring it out along the way as well, like when I did declare like clinical, still just understanding what that actually meant. And I think my
Mm-hmm.
perspective on it now has definitely kind of shifted. I am interested in like the macro component of social work. I don't have as much exposure, I would say. um, but just being able to work with people, I think, was the main thing for me in general in going into social work.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll say like for me too, just being able to serve people. I've always been interested in like that area.
Hmm.
And I actually come from like the macro side of social work. So for
Okay.
those of you who
Mhm.
don't know, like social work is kind of broken up into like micro practice, meso, which is kind of in between, and then macro
Mhm. Yep.
focus. But I worked on kind of the macro side, doing more policy work
Mhm.
around economic development. So that was the area that I was in. But social work kind of spans the gamut, right? You can be a
Mhm.
therapist in the US, at least, can be a
Mhm.
therapist all the way to like working on Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
So it's like a
Yep.
huge range of jobs that
Opportunities.
you can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's interesting because like if I tell people like in the past, like, oh, like I'm doing social work, they're like, oh, what are you gonna do with that? And I'm like, there's so much you can do with it. Like I can't tell you exactly what, but there's so much you can do. Like you can work in a school setting, and like you said, you could work in DC. Like there's so much
Hmm.
to it because you're learning. I feel like you get a holistic education from it.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah.
it's true. It's very true. And with that, I would love to ask more about your transition into entrepreneurship. I
Hmm.
know that you went through Digital Nomad Kits training
Yes.
program as well,
Hmm.
which provided so much like information and knowledge for me to like take my skill set that I already had and transition into entrepreneurship, specifically like starting an online business. So I'd love to hear just about how you transitioned, how you made that transition from like social work to entrepreneurship.
Hmm. So I'll start off by saying that I did not plan to go into entrepreneurship whatsoever. I thought I would be doing the 9 to 5 life. When I first graduated with my degree, so in 2020, I started working for a little bit. I was doing clinical work, so I was a mental health clinician, and I quickly realized that that was just not for me. So I kind of just had to take a step back and reflect and figure out what it was that I
Hmm.
was interested in, like, which a
Right.
lot of us, we go through, we think we want to do something, and then we realize that like this is just not what it's going to be. So that was me. Like
Yes.
I was figuring it out, like, okay, what can I do now? And then I stumbled across the digital nomad kit, the 5-day VA challenge. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, maybe I can like work with mental health clinicians and help them with their businesses, but not necessarily doing the clinical component of the work.
Right.
And I was like, okay, let me try this. That was the end of, I think it was in the fall of 2022 when they offered that 5-day challenge that I did
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
And then I was like going along with it. And then I joined Stephanie Perry and Rashida Dow's Get Your Next 3 Clients challenge in
Yes.
February of 2023. And I was like explaining like the VA work and like this is what I would be doing. And if you know the two of them, they'll look at you
Yes.
like, it doesn't really sound like you're interested in doing that. And I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? You might be right. Like, I don't think I'm interested in doing this.
Yeah.
So they were just like probing questions like, what is your background in? Like, don't you have like a degree in social work? Like, how can you use
Hmm.
that to how can you use your degree and still like do this entrepreneurship work? Like, how can you still help out in a way? And life coaching came about. Like, I can help a
Hmm.
specific community. I'm
Right.
not providing therapeutic services, which I have to make clear, like I'm not providing therapy or clinical
Right.
services.
Hmm.
But life coaching came about in that way because it's something that I can still do and I can use my background knowledge. So that's really how it transitioned from entrepreneurship. So from social work to thinking
Hmm.
about doing VA and then to actually doing life coaching. And then now I'm getting the support from a business coach. Her name is Dr. Alana DeGrassa, and she's just been
Hmm.
phenomenal in terms of
Hmm.
helping market myself and put myself out there and not be scared to do so. Um,
Hmm.
and also just free resources as well. Like I, on my social media pages, I brag about it all the time. Like the public libraries are top notch. Like
Yeah.
at least in Boston, like they,
Okay.
in
Yeah.
terms of like support and everything, like just so great when it comes to supporting their people. So the entrepreneurship aspect, I received a lot of help through the Boston Public Library. So that's kind of how I transitioned from social work into life coach. It was a journey. It wasn't like an overnight thing.
Mhm.
And that's kind of how the transition has been.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I feel like we kind of like underplay libraries
Oh
too.
yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
they're like such a source of, like you said, support, information,
Yes.
books, like
Yes. Free.
kind
And
of
it's
being in the
all
digital
free.
world. Yeah.
Yes, it's like all free. So like I just any chance I get, I'm like, did you try the library? Like, did you go to the library? And it's free resources. So
It
might as
is.
well take advantage.
That's so true. That's so true. Yes, agreed. And yes, hey y'all. Hey y'all. Dorothy, hello.
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 The educator. Happy Black History Month. Yes, it is the first day of Black History Month.
Yes.
Yes. We are making history here, getting free for our ancestors.
Amen.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, educator. Yes. Fiat, hi. Hello, hello. So glad to see you here. Yes. In Planet Terra Art, hello. Welcome. Yes. Okay. But yeah, I would love to ask you more about your life coaching business overall and who you work with. Like, who is your ideal client in your
Mm-hmm.
business?
Yeah. So look into your life. That is the name of my life coaching business. I specifically help Black women and femme identified individuals that also identify as Black.
Mhm.
So that's just, I niche down to that specific demographic. And what I focus specifically on is helping Black women move away from feeling stressed and stuck and burnt out and seeing that there's other things on the other side of that. Like
Yeah.
focusing on how we can prioritize ourselves and invest in our well-being because far too often Black women, we are bearing the burden and the brunt of all of life's issues and problems, and it usually leaves us with the short end of the stick. So I really want to help women to see that we don't have to live that life anymore. Basically getting us free, moving away from feeling responsible for everybody else except ourselves. And that can be very hard because we sometimes feel very guilty, or we're unaware of how to even prioritize ourselves and invest in ourselves. So this is where I step in and I let you know that, like, you got to stop doing that. Like, you have to stop, because truly, like, at the end of the day, who is looking out for your best interests? Most of the time for Black women, I would say it's us. So when we look out for ourselves, we're looking out for like the well-being and the longevity of like who we're going to be as individuals. So that's what I really focus on with my coaching and with the Look Into Your Life business. Just helping Black women move from feeling stressed and stuck to joy and excitement, and just sparking that inner happiness within themselves.
I love that. From
Yeah.
stressed to, I totally forgot.
Joy and excitement.
From stress, thank you. The joy and excitement. That transition. Like you said, we are like responsible for our own happiness, right? And we have to put ourselves first because we hold so many roles and responsibilities in life. It's like, but we have to make sure that we're okay first. So the fact that you are specifically helping Black women and femme identified individuals like achieve this, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
And I did put the link to subscribe to your email list in the chat.
Oh, yes.
So yes, please subscribe to your email list, y'all.
Yes, thank you.
And I did want to ask you about the pivot, right? The transition from a more traditional social work field and kind of a clinical setting into life coaching, and how that has impacted you, right? The freedom to kind of tap back into your creativity with starting a business, attracting your ideal client base. Like, what impact has that had on your life, that transition to entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it, the freedom. Just like the freedom to just be, I should say, like the freedom to decide like how or who I want to serve and how I'm going to do it, and the message that I want to put out there. I think that's been the major thing for me, and not having to focus so much on that like clinical diagnosis component of like what social work is. And, if I realize that I'm working with somebody and they need additional help, then referring them to, or telling them that they should be seeing a therapist as well, but not having to really like focus so much on that clinical component and getting to the root of like what people's actual goals and plans that they have for themselves are, and like how I can help them achieve that. I think that is like what's worthwhile for me. And yeah, I'm going to say it again, the freedom to do what I would like to do. I think that that's been like the most rewarding part for me, and how I can interact with clients that are interested in like working with me. Like, I can do that through social media. And as a clinician, it's kind of like you don't want your clients to really know the real you. But as a life coach, I want my clients to be able to see that like I'm going through things as well, and this is how I'm progressing as an individual, and this is how I'm helping you. If you view my content, or if you stumble across like what I'm doing, you're able to see that and maybe get some inspiration and motivation to take that into your own life.
I love that. And yeah, it's kind of limiting. When I was kind of exploring the clinical route of social work, having to adhere to like the DSM, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, I think, which is the formal manual you use to diagnose people with mental health disorders. It's limiting, right? Because we know a lot of these things that are classified as disorders are directly caused by systems of oppression that we live in. And that's completely left out. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't take like the clinical route and decided to go more of the macro focus in the policy world.
Right.
But yeah, that's huge. The freedom to do
Yeah.
what you want to do.
Oh
And with
man, the
entrepreneurship,
freedom.
you can like chart your own path and
Yeah,
still be in social work, right? And still make a difference
exactly.
and still serve people in the way
Right.
that you want to.
Exactly. Right. And like not thinking of it as like, oh, I wasted my time and my money with this degree, but no, like
Yeah.
I'm utilizing it in a different way. Everybody might not understand that, but it's not for everyone to understand. So,
Oh,
yep.
okay, that was
And I,
everyone might not understand. It's not for everyone to understand that part. That part.
mm-hmm,
Because, woo, I went through that same thing. That's so funny you say that. Like, did I just
mm-hmm,
waste all this time and all this money and all this
mm-hmm.
stress that graduate school, the years of my life I will never get back being in graduate
Oh,
school? Did I just do all that?
mm-hmm.
And now I'm starting my own business, but I had to like go through all that because the skills that I
Exactly.
gained along the way, the knowledge that I've gained, seeing how systems of oppression operate even in graduate school, which is a whole other
Mm-hmm.
discussion,
Right.
kind of prepared me to be on this route today.
Right.
So that's key. Like
Exactly.
everything that you've been through has prepared you to be where you are now,
Mm-hmm.
and
For
none of it was a
sure.
waste. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yes, I see. Kwani. Hello,
Hi.
hello. Welcome. Fiat says, yes, that's my mantra. I want to do what I want when I want from wherever I want equals freedom. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Literally. Like
Yeah.
it's a
That's so true.
journey, but I think it's like if it's something that you want, then it's like worth going through that journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is so true. Yeah. And I think like with the world of online business that has opened up, I know Exodus Summit 2022, Move Abroad Money, that
Mm-hmm.
opened my entire world to the opportunities that exist in the online business space,
Yes.
especially for Black women, right? We have all
Mm-hmm.
the skills, we have all the degrees, but it's
Yes.
like being in these confining environments. And often we go from pet to threat in
Mm-hmm.
environments,
Ooh.
taking those skills.
Ooh. Mm,
Yeah, and that was a
mm-hmm.
term. I
Wow.
didn't come up with that. That was a term coined
Mm-hmm.
by three Black women professors.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, going from that in these environments, it's like just take your skill set back, recognize that you have skills, right?
Right.
Because that's kind of the first part. Sometimes we forget everything that we've done, everything that
Yes.
we've accomplished, making a
Mm-hmm.
skills inventory of which ways you can go with the skills that you already have. You don't have to get another certification. Because I guarantee you have a whole list of things that you've been doing that you may have been overlooking. I know that was the case
Exactly.
for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, for sure. Because
mhm,
I think we get so caught up in the like, for instance, if we're applying to a job, we're not checking off all the skills and requirements that they want us to have, but like we are capable of doing what they're asking of. So yeah, just
mhm.
getting, I guess, just getting out of our own heads is like key to that,
Yeah, that's so
which
true.
is, I feel like that's an ongoing thing. That's not like
Me too.
a,
Yeah,
yeah.
for me too. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, mm-hmm.
Yeah, just getting, like you said, getting out of our own heads and realizing that no, we are skilled. We
Mm-hmm.
have so many routes that we can go. We have options.
Yes.
If you are in a work environment that is not serving you, right?
Mm,
The online business space has just opened up so many opportunities in different ways that you can go. And you can choose your ideal clientele, which
right.
is something we really haven't been able to do before, right? But the online world has kind of opened that up because now
Yeah.
you don't have to be next to people. You can work with
Mm-hmm.
people anywhere in a virtual
Right.
environment.
Right.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned the Exodus Summit, I think that is the prime example of like Black women just doing what they want and getting paid for it. Like,
Yes,
woo!
it's true.
It's so inspirational to like just participate in a summit like that and just see like how many Black women are like doing the
It's
thing.
true.
So
It's true.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just unapologetically. Like, no, I'm putting
Yes.
myself first. I'm
Mm-hmm.
traveling. I'm doing everything that I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do.
Yes.
And you're
Mm-hmm.
supported by other people doing
Right.
the same thing. So it doesn't feel so isolating
Right.
anymore.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I know for a lot of us, like, we've had these thoughts inside, like, this cannot be it. This cannot be it. I worked all this and now I'm in this environment and they're
Mm,
treating me like this, you
mhm.
know? Um, and so having that feedback from other people being like, no, it's not it. And this is what I'm doing. And let
Yeah,
me help you. Right. The
right.
sisterhood that exists.
Yes. I
Powerful.
think yes, that is so important. Like, and that's like what I like want to be is like I might be the first person of my friends doing different things, but I want them to see, or family as well, but like I want them to see that it's possible to do. Like I might be the only person you know doing it, but I'm not the only person that is doing it. So like just reminding people that like there's a plethora of ways that people are living.
Yeah,
Like it's
it's
just not,
true.
yeah. So
Yep. And we're like setting the example, right? We're like trailblazers. In a lot of the
yes,
circles we're in
yes.
and our families, is like showing
Mm-hmm.
people a different way of living. And it can be
Mm-hmm.
done. And you don't have to say somewhere that's harming you. I feel
Right.
like that's revolutionary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's all we've been taught. You have to stay. No, you don't. You have options, you can leave, and you have a supportive community of other Black women doing, going after freedom.
Right.
That's huge. That's
Yep.
huge. Just reading some comments here. Educator says,
Mm-hmm.
love the library. I ran an entire business out of a study room. Tutoring students, all my resources were free, no overhead, free books and computers for the students to
Wow.
use. The
Wow.
library, okay. The library is, yes, is everything.
Yes. It
Um,
literally is.
growing up, I was at the library like every day, right? It
Mm-hmm.
had such an influence on me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Queen Bee says, that's what I need to work on. I feel at times like I'm not qualified to do anything. Oh, no. I
Mm.
guarantee you are qualified to do anything, first of all,
So
anything
much.
that you
Yeah.
want to do. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and if you can, like, just take a second to do a skills inventory,
Yeah.
right? A lot of the times we do things and we're so gifted at them that we don't even realize they're skills because they
Mm-hmm.
come so naturally to us. Um, but just if you can just take a list, right? Make a list of things that you do on a day to day basis. You can go in so many directions just with that list. And you're qualified to do anything.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Positive talk.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, it says, I wrote a list of my hard and soft skills. Baby, I'm working on my 9 to 5 exit plan. Yes. I love that. I love that. Yeah, hard and soft skills. That's key. That's key. Hello, Maya. Welcome. Welcome. Okay, yes. Getting back to the questions. You have an upcoming workshop, self care
Yes.
workshop on
Mm-hmm.
Thursday, February 22nd at 7 p.m. Eastern. I wanted to ask you just about this workshop.
Mm-hmm.
What should people expect? And also, how can people register?
Yes. So I am having a self care workshop February 22nd, as Marissa said. And I did it for February because Valentine's Day is during February. And what better way to show yourself some love than by taking care of yourself, like some
Yes.
self care and prioritizing? Um, and really that's just the goal, that's the ultimate goal of the workshop, is how you can prioritize and invest in yourself, especially we're at the beginning of the year somewhat. Well, yeah, we'll still be at the beginning of the year, still the first quarter by
Hmm.
February. So
Yeah.
just setting yourself up so that for the rest of the year you're prioritizing your well-being. So just identifying the stressors that are in your life, figuring out a strategy for how you can start to address those stressors, and then moving forward with a self-care plan that you can actually follow and be accountable to. Um, and it's really going to be like more interactive. I don't want to be like talking at anybody. Of course, I'm going to share some insights, but I really want it to be a community type of thing where people can share their experiences and hear from other people and just learn like what strategies and tools we can start to implement into our lives, because we really have to take care of ourselves. Like now more than ever, I feel like there's just a
Hmm.
lot going on in the world. So just remembering that we have to prioritize our well-being. And
Hmm.
you can find the registration. It's on my Instagram page, 5 Star Lore. It's also on my landing page, which I think Marissa also linked. And I think it's linked below in the description of the
In the
video.
description. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's it's over my different social media pages. And also, if you have like questions or anything, you can email me. Do you want me to send you my email, or I can say it now
Yeah, if you want
too?
me to put in the description, yeah,
Yeah,
you can
so
put
it's
that in the
my
description.
business email. It's Lauren@lookintoyourlife.com. And if
Okay.
anyone has questions, they can reach out. Um, and it's, yeah, it'll be Eastern time. I'm not so I made the time while I was still back at home, and I was like, oh yeah, 6 o'clock is kind of early Central time, but that's okay. Like I think 7 o'clock will be fine on the Eastern time zone. But yeah, like I'm excited. I really want Black women to feel like they have an opportunity to really focus on themselves and just figure out their self-care routines for the year.
I love that. I love that. So start the year off right? Like
Yes,
you said, we're still in the
exactly.
first quarter. It's like we
Mm-hmm.
have 3 more quarters to go. Get your self
Yes.
care plan in place, and that is so key. That is so key that we take care of ourselves and we prioritize our well being,
Mm-hmm.
because we can overlook that so easily.
Oh yeah,
Because
for
all we
sure.
receive is messages like
Mm-hmm.
our self care isn't important and we need to focus on what other people need. It's like, no, we need to be okay first
Right.
before we serve anybody else. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's the main thing I want to get across. Like you have to
Yes.
you have to put yourself first. Like
You
it's
have
not
to.
selfish. Yeah, it's not selfish to put yourself first and take care of yourself. Because like I said before, like you have to be accountable to your own like well-being, because sometimes you don't have other people to step in and do that for you. Um,
Yes.
so yeah.
That is so true. That is so true. Um, I did want to ask you, you are a fellow alumna from Burnout to
Yes.
Bliss, which is
Mm-hmm.
Rashida Dow's group coaching program for
Yes.
Black women looking to take a sabbatical, travel abroad. But I just wanted to ask you, like, how important has that community been in your journey since you're currently
Mm-hmm.
traveling through Mexico? Anything you want to share about that?
Yeah.
Just like the importance
Mm-hmm.
of seeing other people do what you want to do and supporting you in your
Mm-hmm.
journey.
Yeah. Rashida will stay on your neck. So she is like she holds she holds everybody accountable, I feel like. And that community has been great and very supportive, I would say, when it comes to venturing out. Like I'm in Mexico right now, so I've wanted to do some solo travel, long-term solo travel for a while. So that's initially why I joined Burnout to Bliss, because I was burnt out from my job and I wanted to go and travel the world.
Mm-hmm.
um, which is I feel like a common theme for a lot of us Black women.
It is.
So that's why I initially joined. And the sense of community there has been great. Just hearing other people's stories about where they were and where they're at now. Just seeing people on like social media and seeing like they're doing house sits or they're taking this time off from their job. So just seeing like the progression of what goes on in people's lives, I think it's so inspiring. And like you said, it just lets me know that like other people are out there doing what it is that I want to do. So I'm really grateful to be a part of a community like that. I still drop in on the meetings from time to time, so I definitely still participate. And then just seeing like all the new people that are in the group and like how I was in that same position, like just trying to figure out like, okay, where did I want to go? Like how long did I want to go? And I will say that I procrastinated for a long time. I joined Burnout to Bliss, I think in like 2022.
Yeah.
So I waited a little while to actually like start on this journey of like just doing some long-term travel, but I'm here now. I got to Oaxaca, Mexico last Thursday, so I've been here for a week. And I don't really have a plan as far
I
as
love it.
like, yeah,
Hmm.
I'm just kind of just going like day by day. Look, I have a trusted house sitters profile as well. So just scrolling and seeing like what opens up in Mexico and kind of just making my plans around that. But it's been a dream of mine for a while to just like travel. I've spoke about it on my social media profiles. Like back in 2015, I actually wanted to travel, but I didn't know how to do it. Like I didn't know that it was a thing. Like so I just kind of just waited and waited, and then I discovered Stephanie Perry and then Rashida. So it took off after that. But yeah, just like I'm enjoying my time. Like I'm
Yeah.
enjoying especially being away from the cold.
Oh
It
yeah,
is
in
freezing
Boston.
in Boston. Yes. So like
Ooh.
I'm waking up to some, I mean it's cool in the mornings, but by the afternoon it's hot. So I'm just loving the sunshine. Like I'm enjoying myself.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. And yes, I am in Guadalajara currently. And yeah, the weather has been nice, although I miss the snow. I do miss the snow. I'm a Midwestern girl. I'm
Okay.
Missouri.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I do miss the snow, but it's been nice to have a winter that doesn't require a coat. It's
Mm,
been a new experience just
yes.
going outside and it's sunny all the time.
I
Definitely
love
improved my
it.
mood too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. There's definitely a
Just
connection between like good nice weather and the sun and like positive mood. So I'm feeling it.
yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I also joined from Burnout to Bliss in, I think it was early 2022. I want to say it was April or May. But
Okay.
just being in that community, seeing other Black women do what I wanted to do. And like you said,
Mhm.
I've had this dream for so long of wanting to travel. But the only way to travel presented to me was study abroad in
Mm.
college. And that
Mhm.
was always out of my budget. I'm like, okay, I guess that's just for legacy kids that get to do
Mm.
that.
Mm.
So I kind of like pushed those travel dreams down. I'm like, okay, I'll just be content with being in the US, traveling domestically. And
Yeah.
then coming across Stephanie Perry and Rashida Dow at Exodus Summit and seeing everyone do it and giving the tools so freely to be able to do it yourself, that was life changing. And
Mhm.
that allowed me to see that I could also do this. I didn't have to just sit back and watch people travel the world. I could do it. I could do it
Right.
too.
Mhm.
That
And then
example
have
is
a
powerful.
community. Right.
Hmm.
And then have a community of women like that you can go to, like if you're feeling doubtful about something. um I think that's important as well, because
Yeah.
like I was saying, like your immediate group might not understand what you're talking about, but then you have this community online where they're like, oh, like here's what you do, or here's where you can go. I think that's so helpful too.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed. And just like that safe space to be able to ask questions and not feel like people are judging you. Like you said, like
Mm-hmm.
your circle may not get what you're doing, but if you intentionally put yourself in circles with other people who are doing what you're doing, stuff will start to be like, oh, it won't feel so isolating because
Mm-hmm.
other people are sharing resources, answering your questions as they're doing it.
Right.
um, and that's pivotal to make change because this is a huge change, right?
Oh yeah.
Traveling
Mm-hmm.
and starting your business like at the same time,
For
it can be a
sure.
lot. It can be a
Mm-hmm.
lot. So yeah,
Yeah.
community is so important. But yeah, you said something about house sitting. That is next on
Yes.
my list. So I
Okay.
wanted to ask, like, your plans for house sitting. Are you going to
Mm-hmm.
stay in Mexico and house sit, or is it going to be like just wherever a
Mm-hmm.
listing pops up that looks interesting to you?
So I have several I have several notifications saved, but I would like for it to be in Mexico. But see, me, I'm a last minute type of person. I should have been looking for these things way ahead of time, because there's nothing like open right now. Things will pop up, but like they're just like not a great fit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like whatever pops up at the moment. But I would like to stay in Mexico, if possible. Um, yeah, so I'm kind of just like seeing what happens, what pops up, and kind of just going with the flow. I do
Gotcha.
want to be near the water because Oaxaca, the closest body of water is Puerto Escondido, and that is a
Mm. Hmm.
10-hour bus ride. So
Oh,
it's not like,
wow.
yeah. So I'm thinking about making that my next destination, depending on whether any house sits pops up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And I just took my first bus ride in Mexico via
Mm-hmm.
ETN, which was the bus line recommended to me by Rashida on her
Okay.
video,
Mm-hmm.
as well as Kim, who travels throughout Mexico too. Kim S, who
Okay.
I'll be talking to next week, next Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just seeing like how common bus travel is throughout Mexico, because being in the US, bus travel is not the
No.
same at all.
No, at
It's
all.
like, no,
It's
pretty
hectic.
much, yeah. Feels
Mm-hmm.
like Greyhound is pretty much like the only affordable travel
Yeah.
option via bus that I've seen in the US, and that was never like that appealing to me.
No.
Um, so I kind of like pushed that down. But now being in Mexico, seeing everyone traveling via bus
Yeah.
on like
Yes.
luxury buses for affordable prices too, I'm like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
$50, y'all? Okay, I want
Yeah.
a bus. I want a bus now.
Right. Like it's cheap enough. And I met some
Yeah.
people actually when I first got here um last weekend. Most of them were taking the bus down to Puerto Escondido. And I'm like, oh, this is like a popular thing. Like people just hop on the
Yes.
bus and just go to like the next town over or something. So it's definitely something I might try out.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a fabulous time on the bus. Yes.
Yeah.
I do want to read some comments here. Planet Terra Art, it's important our children and loved ones to see our self care examples as well. So true.
Mm-hmm.
So true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is so true. Hey, Mara. Hey, good to see you. Yes. Fiat says, I live in Michigan and can't wait to leave the snow.
Oh,
Ooh, Michigan.
mm, yeah.
Ooh, I can only imagine. I can only
Mm,
imagine. Yes. Planet Terra Art says, having a community of women is so important. It really is.
it
It really
is.
is. To support you, to encourage you along the way, because there were
Mhm.
times, like you said, like procrastination sets in, right? And
Yeah.
I do want to ask you about fear, right? Because that was one of the
Mm-hmm.
roadblocks that I had, moving through the fear of what if this doesn't work out, and
Yes.
especially being the first one in my immediate circle to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's so many fears of the unknown out there, and also
Yeah.
being a relatively new international traveler.
Mm-hmm.
So I've only been traveling internationally for like a year and a half at this
Mm-hmm.
point.
Yeah.
There are just so many fears of what exists outside of the US, because our world is very much confined to what we can see when
Mm-hmm.
we're in the US for a lot of us. So I wanted to
Yes.
ask about how you are moving with that fear to live your
Mm-hmm.
dreams, live your travel
Yeah.
dreams.
Um, I think I'm just doing it. I'm just tackling it head on, I would say. And it's helping me to not. So I waited to share like that I wanted to travel to Mexico. Like I didn't really share it with people
Yeah.
because I didn't want like other people's fears like projected onto me, because
Yeah.
then that would like drive me insane and then I'll start
Yes.
second guessing. So for me, moving with fear is like just being mindful about like what I'm sharing and also just doing it. And then knowing that I can always go back home. Like
Hmm.
that helps me a lot, is knowing that like if it doesn't work out, I can just go back home. This doesn't have to be a permanent thing.
Hmm.
That definitely helps me to move with the fear. Um, yeah, and like I think I was scared for a while because like the main thing for me was like I don't have enough money to do this. Like I don't have the money,
Hmm.
knowing
Yeah.
that I had the money to do it, but I was just like in my head I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I need all of this, I need all of that. So I think just kind of like pushing past that, and
Yeah.
realizing that like I do have enough. Like
Hmm.
there's also never going to be the perfect time to do anything as well. So that's something else that helps me. Like I waited 2 years, like after signing up with Burnout to Bliss, because I was waiting for like the perfect time, and there was never going to be a perfect time. I was even like thinking about like pushing the date that I left last week to the 31st. And I was like, wait, why am I like, why am I trying to like push this back? Like, I just have to go. And then, of course, once I got here, I was like, oh, like, this is fine. Like, I had a hectic like first day, but this is fine. Like, it's okay. So just knowing that like I'm going to push through the fear and just do it, and also realizing that like if things don't work out, I can always go back home. Like, I still have that support. So yeah, that's how I'm moving with the fear.
I love that. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. And I know a lot of us will get into like a like catastrophizing mode, especially being from the US, which is a fear-based society, right? And
Yes.
intentionally creates all these fears out of nowhere to make us cling onto stuff. And
Yes.
kind
Oh
of,
my
you have
goodness.
to unlearn, right? You have
Yes.
to, it's
Oh
a
my
process
gosh.
of
Woo, speak on it.
yeah, it really is
Yeah.
a process of unlearning. Like, I can always go back. This is not permanent, even though it's kind of instilled in your head, because that was the case for me. Like, if I leave, there's no way I'm coming back. Like, no, just hop on a plane.
Yep.
This the same way you got there, you can go back if you don't like it. Kind
Yes.
of allowing more flexibility in your life
Oh, I
and
like
not
that.
putting so much like seriousness on everything, because
Right.
everything is so heavy
Right.
in the US. There's so much pressure, fear
Yes.
around everything, and it keeps a lot of us feeling stuck in these places
Yeah.
that we know, are not serving us anymore.
Who
And we
you
want to do
preaching?
something. Yeah. We
Who
want to
you
do
are
something
preaching?
different.
Yeah,
But
it's the
it's like,
propaganda. It's
it
like the fear,
is.
like
It is.
um the fear of the unknown, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know anything outside of like what the US is. So like when you tell somebody like, "Oh, I'm going here," they're like, "Isn't it dangerous there? Like, it's not that
Oh,
safe." And I'm
yes.
like, "Do you see where
Do
we
you see the
live?
news?
Do you see where we live?"
Yeah.
So I mean,
Uh-huh.
you can say that about any place. It's just a matter of like, is it going to happen or is it not going to happen? But you can't let that stop you from like wanting to explore other areas. I mean, the world is so big, and like it's bigger
It
than the
is.
US.
Yeah.
And like if we're scared to like leave the US, that's just, it's sad because there's so much out there in the world.
Yeah. That's so true. Yeah. The world is huge and we're global citizens, right? The US tries to convince us a lot that we're just like on planet US. It's like, no, the world
No.
is huge and you can
Yep.
go different places if the place you're in is not serving you. If you know something
Right.
exists that's calling you, you have the power and agency to go after that. I think
Right.
that's key.
Right.
Yeah. Enough by MNT says, I love that I can always go back. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah. If you travel somewhere and it's not your cup of tea, you can go to a new destination
That
or
too.
you can go back. Yeah.
The world is huge.
It is. It is embracing that flexibility in life. Yeah. Which I think travel really helps you do, like adapt to new situations,
Oh
really
yeah.
trust yourself and your instincts too. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Dorothy has a question. Lauren, we decided to leave your 9 to 5. Was it planned or did you take the leap and give your resignation letter? If it was planned, what was the planning process?
It was planned in the sense that, okay, so I didn't think that I would leave when I left, but when I realized that I had to get out, then I started to plan like, okay, like I'm gonna give them. I actually gave them more than 2 weeks notice. I gave them a month, which looking back, I would not do again. But it was planned in that sense. Like I planned my resignation, but of course I did not think I would leave that early into like my employment there. The planning process was a lot of therapy sessions, um, talking with my therapist about like the pros and cons of leaving, why I wanted to leave in the first place, what it was doing to my mental health.
Yeah.
I mean, the cons were just outweighing the pros at that point. So it was something that like it needed to happen. It wasn't like I I I initially was like, oh, I'm gonna stay for 2 years, but that didn't happen. So it was something, I guess it was planned and not planned. Like I didn't plan on leaving that early, but once I realized, I did make the plan to actually like go and put in my resignation letter. And my therapist, I credit
Mhm.
because it was so helpful just to know that I was like not going insane, like I wasn't imagining
Yes.
things.
Hmm.
And I knew I had to get out of that environment.
Yeah.
I
Thank
hope
you.
that answers the question.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
I experienced something similar. Like my therapist was the one who reflected back to me what the
Mm,
work environment I was in was doing. Because I had
mm,
initially started therapy thinking something was wrong with me. I'm like, why am I like spinning my wheels and nothing's happening, and
wow.
experiencing hostility, right? And
Wow.
trying to do my
Mm-hmm.
job better and better. And it was just a cycle, like a downward spiral that I was in, really. And for
Yeah.
her to reflect back to me, like, I think it's the job. I don't think it's you.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything you're
Yeah.
doing. That was pivotal.
Mm,
And being in from burnout to bliss, being able to share what I was going through,
mm-hmm.
just posting about it in a private community and
Right.
having other Black women be like, yeah, that happened to me too. Made me realize
Right.
I wasn't alone. Like
Right.
so many of us go through this, and we have to
Mm-hmm.
like take drastic steps to prioritize ourselves
Mm-hmm.
in those
Yeah.
situations. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if it means like, because I think like I was like, oh my gosh, like I just got here and I'm already like having to leave. I started thinking about like the perception of me as an individual and what that means, like leaving a job so prematurely. But then I had to kind of get out of that, like I'm the only one that's in this position that's working this
Yeah.
job. Like if I don't feel like it's the right fit, then I just
Mm.
I have to go. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's like, it's about us, right? We're living
Mm-hmm.
our lives for us.
Right.
What we're doing has to benefit us, it has to feel good to us.
Mm-hmm.
So making decisions from that place instead of like the external validation and approval
Mm-hmm.
that we're taught to seek. I
Right.
think that's key. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's freedom.
I agree.
That's freedom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do want to ask you lessons you learned throughout this process of changing your
Mm-hmm.
life,
Yeah.
and anything that you would share with other Black women who are looking to go on a similar journey of freedom.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So the biggest lesson is to bet on yourself. Um, it might sound cliche, but I think betting on yourself is so important because you know what you want for yourself. And only you can make that happen. So if you find that like you want to achieve something, you want to do something, you have to really bet on yourself and believe that it can actually happen.
Yeah.
Because as I said before, you're like the manufacturer of your life. So when you're betting on yourself, you're really and truly believing that whatever dreams that you have for yourself, whatever plans, whatever goals are actually you're actually capable of achieving them. So
Yeah.
that's what I've learned myself is like just bet on myself, just do
Mm.
it and see what the outcome is going to be. And another lesson that I have is that having people around you that are going to pour into your dreams and your goals and your ambitions or whatever it is, just having that like support around you, I think it's so helpful because
Hmm.
sometimes like we can hold ourselves accountable, but it helps to have other people around you that know like what you actually want to achieve in life and they're holding you accountable as well. So like if you're slacking on something, maybe you're not feeling something for like a month or a week or whatever, and they're like, aren't you supposed to be doing this? Like, shouldn't you be
Yeah.
doing that? So like having people that genuinely like support you definitely is a lesson that I've learned, because we need that support. Like of course we can motivate ourselves, but it also helps to have other people around that are going to like hold us accountable as well.
That's true. That is so
Yeah.
true. Yes. Yes. And I did want to ask you about your goals. and aspirations as an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur, as a life coach? And then what impact do you hope to have in the lives of your clients that you serve?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, so I think my ultimate goal is just to remain happy with what I'm doing in terms of life coaching and making sure that I'm sticking with the mission that I set out with, and that is to help Black women. I want to be a positive light for Black women who might be struggling to figure out what they want to do in life, or who doesn't really know like how to get to that next step in their lives, and having that type of impact on them, just knowing that they can look to me as a source of like motivation and inspiration. I think it's important to have someone like that to look up to and to just be able to go to, because I've had that recently. But like in the past, I didn't have that. So I want to be that person for Black women. Um, yeah, I hope that
Yeah.
answers the question.
Thank you. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
And that's so powerful to have like an image of someone who's doing what you want to do, who is
Mm-hmm.
giving you the tools, who's giving you the resources so that you have a
Yes.
blueprint to follow.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
huge. That's
Seriously.
huge. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I
It,
followed some blueprints from like Stephanie Perry, Rashida
yeah,
Downs. We
me
said before, like I
too.
followed their blueprints.
Me
So
too. Yeah.
there's people out there that are doing it, and I just want to be able to give back in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And YouTube has just been like life changing, right? Seeing other people
Seriously.
doing what you want to do, dreams that you've kind of like pushed down. It's like seeing other people do it. It's like, oh, I can do it
Mm-hmm.
too. I can
Mm-hmm.
do it too. Because they're giving me the
Yes.
resources, the tools, the knowledge, so freely,
Mm-hmm.
really in the mission so that we can all get free. Yeah,
Right.
I love that. I love and you did say
Oh.
something about like the perfect time, right? There's never going to be a perfect time to go after your dreams, do what you want to do. You
Mm-hmm.
have to kind of make that happen for yourself. I'd love to ask you just like anything about that, right? How did you continue to go forward, even if it didn't feel like the perfect time? How did you kind of tap into the trust that you had in yourself that no, this is something I want to go after?
Mm-hmm. I think just like realizing that like it's been, as far as like travel, I will say, so this has been a dream of mine forever. So realizing that like it wasn't the perfect time 2 years ago, it wasn't the perfect time 4 years ago. So just like going with like, okay, there's never going to be the right moment. But if I continue to just like let the years tick by, I'm
Yeah.
never going to do it. So just realizing that like time is not slowing down whatsoever. Like we're already in 2024.
Yes.
So realizing that like time is not slowing down, and if I want to do something, now's the time to do it. When I have the chance to be able to do it, who says that I'll have the chance like 5 years from now? So just I think going with that mindset and that energy, like time is not slowing down. The perfect moment is not always going to be there, but once you're already in it, like just go for it. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's that's really what it is for me.
Yes. Just go for it. Yeah. There's
Mhm.
never a perfect time. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that.
Mhm.
Hey, Mimi Slow Travels. Yes. Yes.
Hello.
And Alicia. Hello. Yes. I do want to ask you how people can get into contact with you,
Mhm.
and continue to follow your journey online.
Yes. So you can follow me at Five Star Lore on Instagram and on TikTok. My Facebook is Lauren J. Forbes. I also, oh my goodness, I have a YouTube channel.
Oh, you have a YouTube
That
channel too?
Yes, that I do not
I didn't
post
know that.
on, but I need to make a comeback. Five Star Lore is this. It's the same name, Five Star Lore.
Okay.
And my landing page, which is linked, it's Look Into Your Life. I don't think it'll pop up like that. You need like the actual link. But yeah, that's all my socials are Five Star Lore, um, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Um, yeah, that's how you can find me. Um, I'm regularly on Instagram, I would say,
Okay.
trying to
Gotcha.
get more active on TikTok and maybe YouTube again.
Yes, yes. And hopefully, you said it's the same handle as Instagram, 5-star
Yep.
lore. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You see how I forgot it because I don't. I'm not active on there, but I need to like actually like start doing things on there again.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I linked everything in the description, and I'll link your YouTube channel. I'll make a note to myself to do that as well. And also your self-care workshop coming up on February 22nd.
Yes.
At 7 p.m. Eastern. You want to register for that.
Yes.
Other than that, do you have any like closing words? Thank you so much, first of all,
thank you
for being a guest on my channel.
Yeah.
And yes, the educator says, thank you, Marissa, for bringing us another amazing guest. Lauren Love, this is your true inspiration. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. You're so
thank
sweet.
You, educator.
Oh. Yeah. I just want to thank you so much for like inviting me on. Like I said, I was like, what? You want me on here? On YouTube? And I was nervous because I'm like, oh my God, I have to talk. But once I get into the flow of it, it's fine. But thank you so much. Thank you for all that you're doing and like highlighting Black women who are doing different things. Like, I think it's so important to have this type of community. So thank you so much. And just thank you to your audience for tuning in as well. This has been great. It's my first, like, I guess it's my first collab, I would say.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that. Yes, this has been amazing. This has been amazing. And thank y'all so much for sharing everything that you've shared in the chat as well. And as we're wrapping up, just thank y'all so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you again, Lauren, for being a guest. Please make sure to register for her workshop coming up on February 22nd. And other than that, Queen Bee says, thank you, ladies, for the flag, giving me some things to think about. Oh, I love that. I love that. And you're very welcome. You're very welcome. All right, y'all. Sign off now. Until next time. Bye, y'all.
Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.